President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, addresses the nation in a moment. Stay tuned. The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, addresses the nation in a moment. Stay tuned. The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako.
Get trained as an IT professional from the comfort of your home. Dynamic Tech Academy gives you a unique opportunity through our 6-month program, during which you learn skills to transition to being a full-time IT professional. Over 80% of our students have no prior IT background, yet the vast majority of them land jobs a month after they start applying. Our ultimate goal is to reach 100% student placement, so we work with every student until he or she gets a job. Upon successful completion of the course, we will give you a resume, interview preps, one-on-one coaching from experienced instructors, and job placement assistance. Within this course, you get more than 300 hours of theories combined with real-world applications and practical skills you can apply on day one on your job. At the end of the program, our students can be certified as Red Hat Systems Administrator, AWS Cloud Engineer, AWS Security Specialist. Visit our website at www.dynamictechacademy.com to register.
Fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen, I told you it's a media battle. I spoke like a prophet, and it didn't take 10 minutes. It happened. We unfortunately got cut off, but we are reconnecting and connecting back with the State House. I'm calling all those who are watching us on Facebook. It is war. You cannot drop your guns now. Everywhere you shared before, just keep sharing again. And in a few minutes, the president will be live. Let me ensure that I can communicate with his office to have him connected. This is what we would have to go through when we are doing this kind of production, or when we're making this kind of state address. So please keep sharing and sharing and sharing until you have the president. In a moment, I'll be back with War Chai to prepare the ground as we waiting for the president. We just got cut off and it took us some time to have it fixed. It was something beyond our control. Fortunately, we have proactively fixed it. Stay tuned. Yeah, good evening once again, fellow Amazonians. You're welcome. My brother, we just said this and it happened. While we're trying to connect the president, I'm calling on all of you watching us to please keep sharing and informing somebody that we are back and ready to go. Watch out, please.
Yeah, thank you, Paddy. The number was rising so much, close to 1,000 people before we fell off the scene. We, you see, the mummy could only come out of the shell or the box when the Europeans come to buy them. So the Cameroon mummy is out. That's why you see things are happening. Yeah, they will try every way to put us down, but we are there. These are signs to say, these are signs of times, these are signs of things to say that we've moved from point A, B, C, D. We've moved everywhere. We are so strong. We are so powerful. The revolution is alive. That's why you see they try every way. These are desperate means to bring Ambazonians in. So they are just trying to bring us down. That's why you see they try every way.
No, I'm sorry. Don't forget about it. I'm doing a lot of connection at the same time.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
You see, when the Swiss talk was on, Mbia never traveled. When things were moving, 2020, 2021, 2019, when home front was hot, boiling like a pot, Mbia could not travel. You see, things, when he's discovered, he has put infiltrators among us. So at this point, Mbia came out from his shell. He wanted to travel. He was not attending any seminar. He was not going anywhere. But today, why has he decided to travel? He's decided to travel because the middlemen, the sellouts he planted among Ambazonians, the black beings, the dark beings, the big beings he planted among Ambazonians, he discovered now that they have done the dirty job for him. That's why you see he's traveling. He's traveling because he thinks things are falling apart. No, things are not falling apart. For me, this is a blessing for Ambazonians. Whatever situation we find ourselves, this is a blessing. Because it's a blessing to expose the old mummy. If I can go further, before waiting for the president coming up.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. Ambazonians, I don't know if I have to, I like talking to the people at the home front. I like talking to the people at the ground. I like using my own language that the people will understand me better, rather than rubbing behind the Queen's language. Before you, Paddy, can put in the Queen language. So that's where I'm good in. Ambazonians, wait while they talk for and say, that Egyptian mummy, where you don't travel, go America. Time will place be the hot for 2019, 2020, 2021. He not be fit travel this time. He not be fit travel because he not be getting no point. This man gets on started the way they move him. When he discovers, say things he don't get some small favor or some small light, they come inside. Now that time he come out, but can't lift up his skin for talk say, now me, I don't do that work. A day up, it can cancel international committee, say he don't succeed, he don't do this one. They could only travel now because he know say that Swiss talks where we go on between Ambazonia and you where he can withdraw because we don't put infiltrators. Things that we don't fall behind. That's why you see we are the camp for travel because if we don't plant it black legs the inside. The rest of the Ambazonia team, ACT team, was infiltrated. It will be made all of us spoil beings, big beings, as I tell you, my people. So when it discovers, say if we don't spoil that level, that's why we withdraw, say it get the people. And today you see for diaspora, you see that very people they go Canada. Now part of it, they give me a palmarès for talk, say, oh no, we don't win them. That people are all settled for one Cameroon. Lie. There is no Ambazonia where they settle for one Cameroon. Cardinal Toumi, it make them straight for them. Talk say 69%. By then, where this war we don't kill at 3,000 people, even 69%. Not be even today where they talking and saying that 99% of Ambazonians they want outright separation. Now the game that way they now for floor. 99%. You this small one where they talk, even the one where they work at chop soya. For left, right, inside their own heart system, now say they be born to people. That people where they work at chop soya, they born them corrupt. They born them with rotten intestines. They born them say they be thief man. So that people they work at thief, not be said they like for thief, now say them born them at their nature. They don't even know the difference between good and bad. If you give them freedom, they're not gonna take them. That's why they move from that position to that position. When Christopher Anu become up, he come for his own side. After they don't destroy all, imagine so we get winning team For 2021, there was a winning team. Dr. Sako common sense. It be the win all the fight. Everything it be the win. And La Republic be the bleed. They be suffer. Then at that moment, they 1 year Crazy Enos can say, more change this team. This team not the worker. Which football fee where then they play football for inside fee, you win match 3-0. Then you can't talk say no, more change this goalkeeper. This goalkeeper, the way they kick ball for from, the way they catch this ball, and not like him. Where you do win match, but you change. You want the victory. Where to concern you with the person where it give you that victory. If you don't like that person where it give you that victory, but at least hang on. Say that person will take you go boya. That person will take you go for the right direction and when they get the victory and people that follow it. That's the main part where they count for revolution. The revolution was success because that man will lead the revolution. All the army today, when Christopher Anu come with all the coup plotters, everything they scatter the government. They take the promise on a firepower. When I don't see even stick match, even that Christmas gone where this happy where they shoot them small beginning they alarm for Christmas. When I don't hear halal for down, no, Christopher Anu is scatter everything. He team them all, Marianta, all he back followers them, all them. When I don't hear something hala, nothing no hala. Even stick matches, Christmas match, you know the hala for home front. So we want to understand what we did. Christopher Anu be problem I say he gets some multi-million dollars and donors them. People that they give money, people that if you just throw up in their money and some money go forward, they go sponsor the war. Today when I don't see one, if you promise say he go unite the leaders, when I don't see who way the unite leader, way never unite itself. If it inside he own that group, because that group the name are two. Christopher Anu get one group, the other group where come on Marianta I get one group. He don't succeed for talk within them, he never talk within them. Only because he be thief man. He action they show say he be thief man, not be even action. He waste them. So Ambazonians, when I get for no say now one interim government they were Dr. Sako the leader that government. If you know like for call it Dr. Sako, you call and say Dr. Common Sense. Because now the man it be behind, and the man where he don't succeed for bring majority donors, the sponsor, that people that they give them for inside Ambazonia, they don't bring them all inside one position where they're on top table. Now he don't succeed for unite them, succeed for push them, make action where they go down. Since where Christopher Anu now he be the manager, Field Marshal the King, late Field Marshal the King. Time where we take over now we hear one fire hala, nothing hala. So it be being for kill him. And now you know your name. I brought the deal. When I don't see him, he say get the last word. When I see the last one na Canada. So it be feel say when they take ambassadors to go Canada for negotiate back for go for Yaoundé. They negotiate ambassadors now for carry una go Yaoundé. There is no way where he want carry una go Boya. Because he don't talk with John Gute. He don't talk with all La Republic them, all the agent, all their Saturday boy on a Sunday school teacher them. He don't talk with their Sunday school pastors. He don't talk with all their father them, all them with the one when I call and say fund. That funds will not be fund. That funds are now the funds. Now unity funds as well as get unity warrior. He come again, he talk for own warriors the way they fight, boys when they defend we. With children they defend we. When I hear say unity. When I don't hear any fight come up for down since they come, how many we don't lost since they start that word say unity palace? We don't lost multiple than we want to understand. So all this group for Christopher Anu, all this group them, now one group, and the dinner for their belly. Now Kometa Evis, all na their belly. Now now who did they or now for you want talk now for Ayaba, Cho Ayaba, all now for their belly. All native people, now you own the process. All these groups now you the process. So Ambassador now want to realize say now where Dr. Sako, all this while where they can't Christopher Anu, they can't talk say made there for back. Your government still they continue 100%. The government, the worker, the side for diplomacy, the worker. Not now everything where they get for can't talk for outside. Because the thing where they now so war for house done the talk. Which people then they inside house where anything where want talk, which people don't care and go talk for outside. So some of the time, in the good mode, she don't quiet with good information. Some more surprise and surprise for home front. Say things that the worker. If you don't have a ground one, you think say things that the worker here, things that the worker because we still push to go for the perfect direction. Diplomacy, the worker go for the perfect direction. We talk now for case where they for court for US for the 3 way then get them. No, that 3 people where they be say they pick them up. Not be for anything because now self-defense where they practice them. So me man no fool now. La Republic, they get that system when a civil law. Where it means that if you just catch any body go put her inside prison, check said again another very system where they America. Now so that they feel. So when you can't hold man, it be saying now you don't win case. No, the talk says some must not be judged. And we come for understand say some must not be judged because the US or the system where they for white man country, you get for prove them. You get for proof every means. So for that system, even a judge for court, where they get the case, go get your own evidence. You send your own people outside to go find out. Therefore, the man where they persecute, where they send for court, it go bring your own evidence, it go send them for you, the defendant, with the Ambazonians. So now, this one opportunity for Ambazonians for bring from under box, all way to where La Republic, we don't hide them. If you therefore home front, if business on team, there where La Republic, we don't do one for you, you get photo, you get picture, you get everything. May you send them for members and for interim government, for the people that be in charge of this case. Or you send them for the Ambazonian Trust. Ambazonian Trust, it be said they're a charity home. It be said they support something. So may send them. Now they get most of this case of court where they run them. So send them inside the interim government. Send your picture, send your photo, anything where they do for you. So we'll hold them for sure, white man. We'll hold them for court. For sure, this judge say, now things where they don't do them for family. And a short while ago, before President Sako became on, when I get a video where we'll be watching where they torture that young man. They ask about your brother. Where you don't mean a crime, say if your brother commits something, now you go pay the price. Where you don't mean a crime, say if your sister commits something or you do something, now you go pay the price. Now, law for defend yourself. We pick gun for defend ourselves because La Republic, they kill us. I don't kill more than 50,000 people. So the only way for stop somebody with hold gun against you, now for take your own gun for fight against that person. If you hold gun, now self-defense. Because if you not defend yourself from that person shoot first, you don't die. So you will regret your die body no even get away for kind of revenge. So if I may hold your own gun, before that person pluck you down, may you first shoot that person. So now so the thing there for self-defense, the law of self-defense. Self-defense not mean say, may you shoot for house. You not fit there for house. La Republic soldier come take your mommy, beat your mommy, beat your papa, he rape your sister. The one where they rape na man picking, they rape him. They seize all your property, then you still they look him. No, you get for act against that person for stopping. You get for act, show some signs say you be human being, stand against. We call that one say self-defense because
Watch is off air. Yeah, fellow Ambazonians, I hope he is not also attacked from the UK. We are reconnecting the president. It's a major concern. And like I tell you, the media warfare is real, is on and active. Let me prove it to you. Perhaps you've forgotten. In 2016, when our generation took the President Biya government unawares, and they were so confused. They were so confused that the only thing they had to do was a blackout. Grappling there, and they just they cut off the internet because they could not understand how that we are beating them in their own game. We're beating Cameroon in their game. And it's important that we Ambazonians understand it, understand the importance of fighting the war. We will not stop what we are doing. It's a war. The same energy you're using to fight this war at the home front, with whatever form your draft, that's the same energy you should use to fight the war on the media. The Russia-Ukraine war has been fought on that front. Putin understood that the West is using the media against him in their propaganda. And so he had to hacked the Ukrainian media a couple of times to distort information. Fortunately, they have sophisticated media outlets, and it would take them a few hours. But before they even do that, he has succeeded to communicate whatever he wanted to communicate. There was a time that Russia will hack into the Ukrainian media system to say that Ukraine has surrendered. That had an impact on the war. Imagine the president talking to stakeholders, and we're cut off air. Our internet was okay. Everything was okay. I'm standing in front of our consoles now. I can give you that. I can tell you that with no fear of contradiction. We're cut off. Just a few days ago, we had beer and we cut off air. What are they hiding? What are they avoiding to see? I'll tell you. For those who did not start the broadcast earlier on, I want to show you some of the things they do not want us to show the world. They hate it when we speak the truth to this extent because they want to use failed lawyers like the Nsala to distort facts. They're trying to claim to be the victim. Never mind, we're having this discussion so that we can get the president ready. Can you imagine the president was there addressed? Because this is a live, it's not a pre-record. If it was a pre-record, we'll just play it. This is a live record, and we're having the president there, knowing that he's addressing the people and addressing the international community, whereas we've just been cut off. We were just cut off. That's how unfortunate it was. I know some of you have watched this video, but I want to play it again so that we get to understand what is happening in our homeland, the torture our people are subjected to. We must show this. Nobody will stop us. They did it for 50-something years, whereby they own the media. They will kill our people in the 90s, and nobody will say it. The genocide did not start in 2017. You must not have done your assignment to assume that the genocide in Ambazonia just started. We've had cultural genocide. We've had, you mad, what is happening now? Ahijo couldn't have invaded our territory without wasting lives. President Biya could not have stolen through this election without wasting life. It's not the first time our people are opting that they would have to stand to reassert their rights as a people. They're intimidated. Either if they don't manipulate you, they intimidate you. Watch this video and we'll be right back.
Or you never come see police or gendarme saying.
Pas le tuer, non, tu tapes de quoi? Voilà aussi. Quoi tu vas sur là-bas? Ça c'est en bas. Je peux la
Ça c'est l'eau, il fait froid ici en doux. Il y a quoi avec toi? C'est la magie.
On va le côté, le langage me bille dans les yeux.
Since how many times? Since how many times you know say your brother be Amba? Stand. Oh, ne fais pas ça, hein. Ne fais pas ça. Yes, donc. Since how many times today you know say your brother be Amba?
Ouais. Veste.
Ça c'est le travail de la manœuvre tout à l'heure. Tu vas parler.
Tu es là, vous tuez ma tenue.
Retire ton pantalon. Retire ton pantalon. Il retire le pantalon. Ouvre la close.
Donc, attends, il a l'assiette.
Partout. Sur les pieds. Tu peux monter les extraits.
Ah, Moula, ce sont les pieds. Tape sur les pieds, il va confirmer.
Et tiens.
Non, est-ce que les pieds ne vont pas finir? Il y a un peu la déo ça. Hein?
Bouche.
I don't know me.
You know.
Il est collé là.
For fear God.
C'est où tu?
It they push, but me I don't know. It they push, me I know say my brother. It be Amba, but me I don't know say where they become.
Il est still for outside.
Il dit qu'il y a ses frères en bas.
Ça
embauche.
Il fallait l'enregistrement.
Je prends non.
It is still for outside.
Me I don't know.
Ok, go un peu. It is still for outside.
Me I don't know.
Voilà un peu.
Encore.
Ajoute.
Mais, applique.
Applique, ne laisse pas la douleur descendre.
Applique.
It is still for outside. It is still for outside.
Oh.
Jesus.
Donne-moi un peu la magie.
Jesus.
Donne un peu.
It is still for outside. It is still for outside. Donc. It is still for outside.
Me I know. I dey talk my truth for fear God.
Sleep so. Oh, the man sleep. Sleep. Oh, you will talk now. Oh.
So if I know what I wanna
Sleep so. I want to say you sleep so.
so.
It is still for outside.
Sleep now. You give me
Yes,
your belly.
so
It is still for outside.
Yes, sleep.
Yes.
Sleep so.
Sleep.
For here.
Il est for outside.
Yes. What's up, brother?
Ball and then for outside.
For the first time, brother.
I don't know. No.
Il est for outside. Il est for outside.
Sir, no.
Why?
I know
So,
say
oh.
the bush. It's the bush.
Il est bush for which place?
Put your friend so.
On devait même couper sa tête.
Move your hand.
Il est bush for outside.
Donc, elle vous a vu, il a fui.
Il a fui, non? C'est moi qui chambre, non, avant que...
My God.
C'est chaud.
Quand ils sont les sacrifiés, mon type.
Ansel.
Il est for outside.
Oh,
Me, I don't know.
when you have seen the police, n'est-ce pas?
Yes.
Why you dey run so?
Il est for outside.
Move your hand.
Me, I don't
Move your
know.
hand. I go cut am. Talk your truth.
Quand on fait ça hangue. C'est ce qu'on appelle la douleur. Peine. Ça pénètre.
Ça inter.
Ça hangue. C'est la chance. Malheur. Il est for outside.
I beg for now. I don't know me.
Il est for
I
outside.
don't know. I know say the bush, but me, I don't know.
Il est bush for outside. Il est bush for outside.
Sir, if you tell me about una, the beg una.
Le bébé, il est which gun?
Oh, Jiman, you know say first, you don't tell me say you call, you know.
But me, I don't know me.
You know
sir.
say if you don't tell me say you call, you know.
Wait.
Yes, they call
Non,
me.
c'est bon.
Aïe.
Non,
My God.
Vas-y. Voilà.
Yahoua. Oh. Après, si
Vous nous
ça
tuez. Les gars, si vous m'enlèvez les camarades.
Il est tué.
Non, tu peux rien.
C'est que les gens, c'est quand ils prennent un camarade, hein, c'est la magie, je te jure.
Fouette-le. C'est comme ça. On va couper ta tête.
Ça enregistre déjà.
Ça
enregistre déjà.
Voilà.
Ça enregistre déjà.
Ça, hein. Comme ça. Comme. T'as un peu. Quand tu te mets des questions. Go.
Chief.
Move ya. Ici. T'as reçu les parties qui vont sentir la douleur.
Attends, tu comprends. Attends, c'est le
Il est for outside. Il est for outside.
Me, I don't know.
Tell me your ass.
Me, I don't like. When I know my house.
Et là, je t'ai baissé à aucun lieu. Hein.
Oh, move on. Le waka, c'est que ça ancre.
Il dit que laisse le
Ah, c'est moi, là où tu vois, tu me donnes un peu. Manière.
Il est for outside.
Les fesses, tape sur les fesses.
Où les pieds là?
Me, I don't know.
Oh, les femmes. C'est moi. Oh, un peu. Je suis un peu la bâtie là. Donne.
I know it's heartbreaking to watch our own brothers being tortured so badly by colonial forces. But this is what happens every day. They have not stopped. Every time they do that to civilians, since they're aware they cannot even pick up. The Amazonian Restoration Forces are smarter. If they cannot manipulate them, bribe them out, and they will intimidate them, or they intimidate their families like that, they've done it. You find No PT would have to. Why would they arrest No PT's family? So these are some questions we cannot ask. I thought by this time we would have been done with the president's broadcast, so that there's a meeting I'm supposed to be attending with journalists from far and near. That is the international press. We hope to do a press conference, an international press conference. I'm calling on all of you to be a part of this. In a few minutes, we're concluding the settings to have the president. It took us a challenge to be able to get back through to his office, but he's connected now. So in just a few minutes, we'll have the president. We want you to be a part of this press conference any way possible. Today, if you're still doubting the importance of us fighting this war in the media aggressively, today is your answer. So I don't know, I believe Madame Endele is attending this meeting now on my behalf. Whatever they did we're supposed to agree with all the journalists from one of the big media houses, Once that date is agreed and liaised with the office of the president, will announce it before the week runs out. And we are calling on you to be a part of it, whichever way possible. Let me just find out to know if the president is ready to come up now. Keep sharing, Ambazonians, keep sharing. It also is an indication that whatever the president is about to say is very important. For those who are trying to make you feel that we're the minority, no. If the voice of the president was not making Yaoundé tremble, they will not try to shut us off. Why do they try to shut us out all the time? It's not the first time for 1 year that our page has been hacked. Those who are working at the back end can tell you it took us a long time to have our page released. We were blocked for no reason. We blocked for no reason. We had to justify and fight for them. At one time, the president even advised us to forget about the page and do a new one. And even the new pages didn't work, because when we go for a new page, they still block our reach. So it's a fight. It's a fight that you have to be involved and be passionately involved. There's no reason why you will not be involved in it. Okay, right after the break, we'll be having the president. Thank you for staying tuned.
The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, addresses the nation in a moment. Stay tuned.
Mr. President of the United States of America, my President, the organizers of the U.S.-Africa Summit 2022, fellow African heads of state here present, dear international observers, I want to thank the United States of America for organizing the second U.S.-Africa Summit. This is a laudable action to revitalize partnership and alliances with African countries. I understand this summit will continue efforts to strengthen ties with African nations that are under severe pressure by their local populations to review the significance or not of traditional alliances that stem from our colonial heritage. We, the people of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, regret our absence from the ongoing U.S.-Africa Summit. This would have been a golden opportunity for the U.S. to affirm her historical vote at the United Nations in favor of the independence resolution on the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia on April 21st, 1961. I have been obliged by the people of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia to bypass this error of omission by addressing the US-Africa Summit as the uninvited 55th nation of Africa, albeit from an observer's perspective. It is our hope that the summit will be a moment of sincere introspection around the true causes of anti-Western sentiments sweeping across the African continent today. Summits like these should not be mere banquets away from home. They should not be cocktails of political pleasantries, and not certainly a collection of image-building souvenirs and empty smiles. It is another opportunity for participating African heads of state to tell the truth to each other. It should also be a moment to review our partnerships and alliances with a superpower like the United States of America. During such reviews, both sides should x-ray with candor the causes of mutual failures as well as the areas where measurable progress has been achieved over the years by either side. The post-colonial philosophy that made most alliances with Africa and the West look like a beautiful girl toasted around by suitors or bidders, and whose will does not count, led to the establishment of transactional alliances and not genuine partnership alliances. That kind of posture reminds the African psyche of the infamous era of slavery. The Africa of today is in need of direct mutual beneficial politico-economic partnership alliances with America on grounds of equality and respect for each other. Africa doesn't need babysitting today. Africa doesn't need people to decide for her. Africa doesn't need systems and alliances that work more for the good of others than our own people, and leaders who appear to serve foreign interests more than national interests. This schoolmaster approach by the West may have worked for a while, but right now it is not working for Africa. The youth, and that means 60 to 75% of the 1.2 billion people in Africa, are asking why the richest continent remains the most backward today. Instead of frowning at voices like mine on the continent, instead of giving band-aid solutions, why don't we try out a cheaper option, which is one of the direct strategic partnership with the people of the continent, a Marshall Plan, for example. I said the people of the continent, not the leaders. There is a remarkable difference between the people of Africa and the political leadership in Africa today. I have the impression that based on the former alliances and operational philosophies, the West is losing the people in preference for their leaders, many of whom have long lost the legitimacy to speak for their people because they have been rejected by their people, even though they keep stealing elections. Africa is not poor. We are the richest continent in the world. Our problem is not poverty. Our problem is not hunger. It's not diseases. Our problem can be summarized in 3 words: corruption, exploitation, and bad leadership in power. We need to forge alliances that will help the people of Africa to address these key problems. True friends will help you fight your true enemies, not imaginary ones. America is a friend to Africa because America has what it takes to efface these 3 monster problems. But America will be Africa's friend indeed when they stop leading from behind on key issues affecting the continent of Africa. Remember, a friend in need is a friend indeed. The post-colonial politics of condoning corruption, exploitation, and bad leaders in power, while pretentiously prescribing wrong medicines such as aid for development, as the Chinese and the French are doing on the continent today, is a time bomb. The origin of this approach dates back to the 60s when the colonial powers of Europe decided to exert economic and political power over Africa through debt management. That kind of politics was good for France and Europe from the post-World War era, but not today. Because if the buyers all die, sellers will go out of business, unless the sellers may have to be buying their own goods and services. Please, America, a viable Africa is a better friend and partner to the rest of the world than an exporter of misery, poverty, disease, hunger, crimes, and terrorism. The attitude of some of our friends aiding and abetting corruption, protecting and helping bad leadership, and rewarding corruption in Africa is adding to Africa's depression, not deliverance. This will affect all of us in the long run. Dear President Biden, Africa is very sick, and we know the medicine, and it is local, not imported. We cannot continue to pretend that all Africa needs today is more of the same. We cannot also say all countries have problems, so let Africa solve her problems. The difference is that Africa's problems have a lot of umbilical cords wrapped around her neck, complicating the birth of her dreams economically, industrially, and politically. Please, let's help Africa cut it off without fear of retribution or victimization from her trusted friends. America should not help Africa as a distant friend anymore, because until you draw closer, you will not truly acknowledge that Africa is a continent, not a country. The one-size-fits-all approach in dealing with Africa as if Africa is one country is wrong, because such an approach misses all the distinguishing details that make for strong alliances. America must be prepared to hold hands with leaders of the next generation on the continent to address the real issues Africa is facing. America cannot continue to ride on the backs of the French to protect her interests on the continent. By that I mean, America cannot act only as and when and where it pleases the French in Africa. The post-World War doctrine of sphere of influence is no longer relevant in a unipolar world. In many instances, America is either acting late or absent, and our mutual interest is in serious jeopardy. Here comes the growing symptoms of the problem. Migration, civil unrest, unending wars, rising anti-Western sentiments, rising numbers of military coups d'etats, the rise and spread of extremism in sub-Saharan Africa. These have created a favorable climate for the growing Chinese and Russian influence on the continent through the help of a sit-tight, corrupt African political elite. These are the direct effects of the failure of the post-independence and neo-colonial order promoted in my own part of Africa, principally by the French. French policies towards Cameroon were developed in the 1950s by a post-war political leadership in France that sought primarily to guarantee their own survival as a nation and to uphold their status as a war leader. We, the people of the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, were caught up in the French web when we were forced by the United Nations to get independence by joining. We voted to join La République du Cameroun as two gentlemen, but the French pushed Amadou Ahidjo to opt for reunification instead of unification, and to go for annexation instead of equality, and adopt a unitary state instead of a federation. The French also advised Ahidjo in Fumban in 1961 to reject every common sense proposal by the people of the southern Cameroons for a genuine union of two states of equal status. The French then helped to draft the fraudulent 1961 constitution that was never ratified as required by our southern Cameroon's House of Assembly in Buea. The French president, Pompidou, ordered Ahidjo to abolish the fictitious federation between La République du Cameroun and the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia in 1972 through a fraudulent referendum. And then the French finally advised Paul Biya to finalize the annexation project of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia by reverting to their former name which they had before, La République du Cameroun. Throughout all these times, America has been playing the concerned observer in what is customarily referred to as France's sphere of influence in geopolitics. The CIA carried out many studies on the problem of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, warning of the rising tensions in the Southern Cameroons. But America did nothing practical to engineer genuine resolution of the problem through dialogue. My fellow Americans, whenever there was a call for dialogue with the people of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia, whether it is the AAC 1 and 2 of 1993-94 or the African Court of Human and People's Rights in Banjul in the early 2000s, the French will move to reassure their puppet regime in Yaoundé that they don't have to cave in. President Mitterrand, for example, advised Paul Biya that he should not accept federalism. That in case of any uprising, Paul Biya should be prepared to use that as the alibi to crush the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia and seal our fate as their conquered people. Their hope was that in the event of war, La République du Cameroun will crush us as they did to the UPC-led nationalist resistance in the 50s, like flies in La République. So in 2017, President Macron, while visiting West Africa, met with Paul Biya and asked him to send his military to declare war on the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia. Little did he know that the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia will rise, as we have done, with enough strength and resolve to stand and resist their barbaric, genocidal army for 6 long years and counting. Today, France seems to have lost the moral compass to instruct La République du Cameroun on the path for a political solution, to resolve what they erroneously ordered Cameroon to do in the first place. Hence, the situation in the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia needs an outsider to resolve, not the French. The French are parties to the ongoing conflict in Ambazonia. Also, the French are somewhat paralyzed at this time by certain issues deriving from their existing alliances with their former colonies. Number one, guilt has destroyed the moral authority of the French to act today on certain issues affecting the continent. Number two, the rise of anti-French sentiment in all their former colonies have also diminished France's boldness on the continent. And number three, the fear of the Russian expansion within former French colonies has taken the gusto away from the political power of the French in Africa. Number four, the expulsion of the French in Mali and Burkina Faso recently makes France want to embrace anyone who still tolerates them, no matter how bad they are, for others' interests in the region. America cannot therefore continue to rely on an unwilling ally or a paralyzed one. America must stand on her feet and use her political and economic capital in the continent for the good of the people of Ambazonia, Cameroon, and Africa. My dear President Biden, we Americans have to stop leading from behind the French because France is either unwilling to act against the status quo or is losing control too fast of her colonial allies because of her mistakes. The American interest in the Gulf of Guinea, for example, cannot be guaranteed on the backs of a morally disabled ally. Inaction is not an option either. America should not think that those who have issues with France today on the continent also have the same issues with America. The French, they need help to do what is right. They are like the biblical figure who said, "When I want to do good, I find myself doing the evil I don't want." If America continues to lead from behind in Amazonia and La Republique, because it is so-called France's backyard, the prize will be Russia next door in the Gulf of Guinea. The Yaoundé war hawks are now leaning on Russia because the French will not help them and cannot stop them after Biya. Amazonia, on the other hand, is the natural ally of America. America, for 60 years or 61 years, has been the #1 destination of Amazonians fleeing the torture and persecution from La République du Cameroon regime. Amazonian American diaspora is the most powerful Amazonian community outside Amazonia. The children of most Amazonian Americans today see themselves as Americans. The Amazonian American economic power is today worth billions of dollars. Our ties with America are therefore permanent. In Amazonia also, about 40% of the direct foreign investment in Amazonia and the Gulf of Guinea on the Amazonian side is American. America has a legitimate corporate social responsibility to protect Amazonia from annihilation and to stem insecurity out of the Gulf. However, America is trying to do so by supporting a foolhardy, tyrannic leader who believes the Southern Cameroon problem can only be resolved by a lopsided military option. A tyrant that believes killing all Southern Cameroon citizens proves that he is right and everyone is wrong. A delusional despot who believes that what happened in 1961 was a reunification. In other words, a recovery of their lost territory and not a unification of two nations of equal status as was proclaimed by the United Nations. This 90-year-old genocidaire is in a class of his own. He is old and worn out. He is not worried about what or how others think. Let me remind you who Paul Biya is. He is the Hitler of our time in black skin. There has never been any dictator more brutal on the continent than Paul Biya. He is the man who declared a senseless war against unarmed civilians of the southern Cameroon's Amazonia, using tanks and helicopter gunships, just for holding a different political opinion from his and for demanding dialogue. That war is ongoing now for 5 years plus and has costed the lives of 40,000 plus innocent people. His forces have massacred and dumped the bodies of thousands of innocent southern Cameroon citizens, including the well-known case of journalist Wazizi in mass graves, littered all across Amazonia. His forces have burnt down more than 400 settlements and villages, forcing 1.6 million people, including women and children, to be displaced without care. Some live like animals in bushes without food, without shelter, without medicine, and women without pads, sanitary pads. His forces shoot and kill goats, cats, pigs, cows, and sheep belonging to villagers who escaped from their attacks. They follow their human prey into the bushes and systematically destroy their huts, their crops, and their barns where they find them. Biya commanded his forces to execute suckling babies in their mother's arms. His soldiers threw a suckling baby into a pot of boiling oil. They cut off the heads of suspected enemies, including that of one innocent Samsoya in Kamara. His barbaric forces ordered murdered babies going to school, returning from school in Bamenda and Boya. Biya massacred 6 of our children in Mother Francisca Secondary School in Kumba and 11 in Boya. He massacred more than 21 persons, including babies, mothers and babies in Garbo on Valentine's Day in 2020. Biya expels humanitarian organizations in Ambazonia responding to the plight of victims of his senseless slaughter of civilians. He has forcefully disappeared more than 1,000 Ambazonians since the 22nd of September 2017. His administrators and appointed leaders have called the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia dogs, rats, and roaches. Biya has put people in special jails who have been languishing under despicable conditions for 6, 7, 8 years without trial. He has sentenced more than 1,500 innocent civilians, his political opponents, on trumped-up charges in military tribunals. Biya's forces have murdered many missionaries, pastors, and bishops in Cameroon and Ambazonia, including an American missionary called Charles Wesco, with impunity. He has a secret killing squad called Commandement Opérationnel that has massacred hundreds of his political opponents. He has never truly won an election since 1992. He snubs diplomats and war leaders who care to tell him the truth about his bloody hands. Fellow Ambazonians, dear Americans, Paul Biya, by this alone that you have heard, and if you doubt it, check the latest reports by Human Rights Watch and AmbazoniaGenocideLibrary.com. Paul Biya is worse than Idi Amin of Uganda, is worse than Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe, is worse than Saddam Hussein of Iraq, is worse than Muammar Gaddafi. These did not do 1/100th of what Paul Biya has done and is still doing to the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Yet, none of these people I mentioned could have been received at the White House for any reason whatsoever by a president of the United States at a time like this. What makes Paul Biya different today, if I may ask? Mr. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, you tweeted on Twitter not too long ago that there shall be visa restrictions to Cameroonians who are obstructing peace. I wonder who you had in mind when you tweeted, considering that Biya is the chief perpetrator of the war with the people of the southern Cameroon and man against peace. How do you honor the mastermind and punish the collaborators? For your information, if you are not aware, Paul Biya attended the US Africa Summit invitation along with Defense Minister Betty Assomo, who is personally overseeing the unending massacre of Ambazonians with impunity. Also, he came with 12 members of his war cabinet. Mr. Secretary, tell us what has changed with Biya of 2022 to merit him and his bloodthirsty team such a generous exemption on your announced visa restriction policy. The previous administration under President Donald Trump cut some military aid going to Paul Biya's killer regime, which he used to kill Ambazonians. He removed La République du Cameroun from AGOA and more. Sir, Have the conditions which led to the previous American position against the Biya regime changed? I don't think so. I think, however, that if there is any change, it is not for the better, it is for the worse. Paul Biya rejected Resolution 684 of the US Congress. This year, he rejected mediated talks without precondition, which America recommended. And he has openly opted to kill his way to normalcy in the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia as his choice solution to redress the legitimate political demands of the people of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Biya's killer forces are now combing our villages and cities like maniacs, picking up our people at random and killing them in cold blood. They just break into houses at the wee hours of the morning and round up any and everything standing on two legs, executing them and dumping their corpses wherever they choose. Does that sound like the solution America has endorsed for the ongoing war Biya declared against the innocent people of Ambazonia? Paul Biya has sent envoys everywhere telling stakeholders such as the United Nations and maybe now the US that they have already won the war and that life has returned to normal in the southern Cameroon. Who believes that to be true? My advice to the wise and the powerful in America is to choose the side of the people of the Cameroons, the people of Ambazonia, unless you think that when Biya tells such lies, he is representing the people of the southern Cameroons. Leaders come and go. The people of Africa and Ambazonia will remain. I will never forget those who stood with them. America should not dine with a drowning dictator like Paul Biya and sacrifice the wishes of the millions of people in the Cameroons. And dear State Department, any attempt to prescribe ready-made solutions for Biya is not the way to go, because Biya has never done what anybody tells him to do except the French. The only solution to the Ambazonian La Republique conflict is to bring Biya to the table to meet the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. And the final solution will emerge on that table, not from the White House, not from Champs-Élysées, and not from the European Parliament, but from a comprehensive negotiated agreement. We don't need a referendum. We may prefer a second plebiscite, if at all, because that presupposes that we are autonomous and sovereign. The much heralded referendum concept is used by a non-sovereign entity seeking secession to decide their destiny. And majority yes becomes the first law of secession for that entity. We are not trying to secede. We are a sovereign people by United Nations standards. We don't need a referendum. The United Nations knew this truth and gave us a plebiscite instead of a referendum in 1961. Because a majority yes in a plebiscite does not automatically cede our sovereignty, while a majority vote in a referendum will. A majority decision in a plebiscite still leaves us with the power to decide what type of union we want, if at all. Those who disapprove Russia's sham referendum in Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson, in part of Ukraine today, should see why it is wrong to recommend a referendum to La République du Cameroun as the solution to the Ambazonian problem. I call on African leaders present in Washington today to tell Paul Biya, you cannot embark on annihilating a sovereign people who decided to join you freely without war. Just as you cannot kill your abused fiancé if he decides to not continue with the marriage. African leaders, we should start helping each other in solving Africa's problems. We cannot be claiming Africa for Africans, but when there are serious conflicts tearing apart a fellow African country, we look away, waiting for an erstwhile colonial master, the US or EU, to take the initiative. Where are the elders in the continent of Africa? There is an African proverb which says, until a person starts to assume the responsibilities of another fellow man, that person cannot be known as an adult in the community. Where is the AU on the issue of the conflict between La République du Cameroon and Ambazonia? I call on the Amazonian people also to remain hopeful that America, the beacon of freedom, cannot sacrifice her values on the world stage because of an ailing, bloodthirsty dictator like Paul Biya. I think America is trying to reach out to a sleazy dictator that is unreachable. Whenever you send envoys to reach him, it's impossible. Our concern should be the message from President Biden to dictator Paul Biya. I also want to caution the recent prosecution of some of our comrades in the US. It is not an action premeditated by the US government against Ambazonia. It is a matter brought before the court by certain individuals residing in the United States. The law will follow its course. We have no problem with that. Instead of strict demonstrations on this matter in DC, we should rather mobilize for a robust defense in court to vindicate our comrades who engaged in activities protected by the United States Constitution. I urge Amazonians to contribute to our legal defense fund and do so now, and accompany our comrades to court, whether in Maryland or in Kansas or Minnesota. It is never a crime to provide defense for somebody in court. Even the government does it. All for one, one for all. The verdict of these cases will establish a reference law that will influence opinions and guarantee our greater protection within the framework of existing laws in America. Remember, this is the United States, where you are innocent until proven guilty. The innocent should do the right thing and know that the enemy wanted to do us evil, but our God will surely use it for our good in this struggle. God bless our beautiful country, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Yeah, fellow Amazonians, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back. I believe by now you understand why they would rather shut our voices up and not give us a platform. This platform is one of the best things that have ever happened to the nation of Amazonia for the past 60 years, and we cannot let it go. We will be broadcasting the speech for those who. I just received a call from Barrister Fru now. A lot of people were interrupted, and there's every evidence that they didn't watch. So you stay tuned. We will come with a brief analysis, but in a few minutes we will rebroadcast for those who did not watch, so they can have a watch. And at the tail end, perhaps we may have some commentary, or tomorrow we will have an analysis for it. So stay tuned and enjoy yourself with this beautiful music. Chai, what are you doing? Yes, fellow Amazonians, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back. I believe you've all watched this, and we're back. You heard it from for yourself. Maybe you want to say something before we get the rebroadcast.
I was almost gone because La Republic has been playing with us, trying to shut trying to shut everything down. They've been working hard in the background trying to keep everything down. But Ambazonia is so powerful. God has made us a strong nation with the words, with the fingers, with the hands, and with the knowledge of everybody. It has made us just the human resources that Ambazonia got. We as the people, we as the Ambazonians, we are more powerful than I can imagine. Imagine all of us, that 10 million coming together, what we can produce in that nation. The human resources, our physical force, then put in terms of labor, we will be something that the world will actually look on us. Coming into Dr. Sako's speech that he has come, this is an incredible word that comes from him. Each time I listen to this man, he gets better and better and better. And we have been winning. If the world could only listen to what this man comes out from his mouth, then we will understand that this man actually is a genius in his spite, and giving out this word is unbeatable. He's a Dr. Common Sense, as we call him. So if I come to the first part that I actually brought forth from his speech, it's the colonial method and the ideology that they are using. I think I will go back to my usual language that I often speak, so that my people, the language of the people, the language of a common man, because this is where they count. They count on people like us that will break this word down to them so that they can understand each and every part that comes out from the president's mouth. So I will leave this other part for those that school with the Queen's language. For those that believe in me, Watch Chaco Radio, I will put it the language that we usually put it. So for the first part, for Dr. Sako or Dr. Common Sense in language, he say that colonial method, that colonial master method, where we are the try for use them. For we it never work, and it not be don't work, it not will ever work. Because it try for implement which way a massa France don't teach you for Ambazonia. So it they try for look on Ambazonia and try for look at Africa, they need to look at now because Africa they don't wise from this place. So we don't change from that situation because the youth now from Africa, we the new generation for Ambazonia, we don't change. I will always put them we as the model for Ambazonia. So we don't change for that position where we stand. We're reasoning up we head. We don't reason. We don't be wise than fox. Our eyes do not see far more than the eyes for eagles. So we see now we understand better. That's why we want a better. So that colonial method, whether they use some for pound on us or hit on us, they work again. Even if they change strategy, it work because we want a free world. We want a truth. We don't want some people where they be on top us because we get a destination where we don't take and won't build. There is only freedom will come because we go give that pressure. Now we give the pressure for the West made to understand them because we believe say only with your own pressure we will give them for own stand we don't stand for say no to the West. No to colonialism. No for that their word say we'll be slave. No for their word they say we'll be backward. We know the reason. No. That's time don't pass. So now we will take them. Then with the same message, he said this very message, they go from Biamaroon. Biamaroon, I say Biamaroon, I mean Pobia, and he allies them. Whoever way he is supportive for this side and he partners them where they supportive for this other place. Where he even talks, say he walk now for eliminate we. He talk for France how he don't try for annihilate we. He no work. Therefore, he don't try for wipe us out. He don't try for quench us, for ground us, may our bones them. May it turn the dust. He never succeed. You even see where they declare so will be 2 cubes of sugar. You even see where they declare for that airport where they come back talk say they will finish with Ambazonians. They don't declare war. We be Amba. They don't declare war say now for one particular group of people because for Sika 4 gendarme way they go do their thief as they don't do a mago or they go sleep people, their woman or they rape somebody, they're picking them or the thief. they finish them. They don't bring and say and declare war for you. No, they only get that war for agenda. They find way for field. Like where they talk say that tactics where you don't use them for finish we as they don't declare another 2 cube of sugar. We'll never declare, we'll never finish. We'll still there and will be more powerful. That resistance still there. From that 2 cube of sugar where they will say 2 weeks, they will finish us. Now the 6 years, now 6 years they go run and go for number 7. What will strong even past them. Now still they don't go use another method. Another method when that divide and rule policy use their money for corrupt the background, for corrupt our brothers them. Because for war time, the man will not understand say if he kill you, now your brother way they beside you because you expect say the enemy will come from afar, but you don't know say the enemy be now within. And that kind of one where they don't use some among with them. That our brother when they get long throat. That our brother where they chop soil and lick their finger. They not go sleep at night. They not even wash their hand. They continue to lick their finger for that soil they chop on the last 2 years. So now that kind of people, longer people in there among us. When they don't use now for make that a divide and grow policy. But you see and say they don't try for mash us like potatoes where they put them inside mortar or cocoa them put them for grind and for achu, you know the worker. So now you they talk say this generation too, it don't go. Biamaron a policy in where France don't give him a do for we. He never succeed. I know ever succeed. So that one be clear. So one other point where you get and I gather them, I will give the one about understand the other one. The other people that will come will explain them small because the points and plenty. Which way talk that one will go broke them. They did plenty. So if it already wearies me, therefore it give me trouble. It bite my underbelly. If country like America, it go to chop with dictator. If country like America, it chop with genocidal somebody. We country like America, it chop with somebody where he was. It passed. Saddam Hussein, he passed whatever dictator way we don't exist for this world. I tell you, so that dictator said he never do what when Bia don't do because for all this number of years, Bia don't be 60 years for you don't be 60 years as statesman. You don't be more than 40 years for power. You see what way don't do and for all this time, all the action, it don't pass through Bia. So the killing and everything, it don't pass through Bia. So overtake them for what way we don't suffer for all this side, the torture, the killing. The sacred prison them, the mass graves and where you don't take them. So with the very sweet if country like America, they invite be away the first regime as president, they talk to the other regime where this Joe Biden be take over. Because Joe Biden and somebody where he be fight for the apartheid South Africa. So that apartheid South Africa can be free. So if the Joe Biden be fight for South Africa, today how will lead this man the dying with somebody when a genocidal man like be away, he don't kill more than 50,000 Ambazonians. It don't torture millions of Ambazonia them because every Ambazonia for every house don't cry this thing, don't cry how they don't kill them. It don't cry torture. It don't suffer one way the other one. So the answer say how you go do the dying with this man? How you feel the chop with somebody like Mbia? Where his whole life he be killer. He regime everybody in a killer. Or he minister then 12 minister he can travel with them. Everything for you in a killer. He himself the move. You know, say I see the worker, so again a part for Inyash. If you look and find the other one for Sudan today, you see president for Sudan today for social media where it stands for the peace. If they want to know be the way part, this mommy for Cameroon, is for the peace for his skin, and a bishop say the peace for his skin. So not here from my mouth, not two I see Maria they talk. Not true, say the peace for his skin. I be the worker now babysitter. So how you go do the chop with this kind of man when a killer? How you go do the chop with this kind of one where blood for our people then they for their head? So now you would ask that question. If the other regime be ban people for the government may not travel, how this man do so it travel so that they dine with you? It mean I say the West they get their interest. America they support their interest in not being for the people. But this new generation, when they talk and say, may Dr. Sarkozy talks say, may he use the people where they inside forget about their leaders, but use the youth for work as a partner for tomorrow. So may they use we get that manpower, we get that brain, we get that way where we put them, we get how we turn things them, they turn the right way, so more work that way together for be some. Rather than for the chop with a dictator, rather than for the chop with killer. If you chop with wishman, therefore now you be wishman, and so you there for my language. I don't mean say you Biden be wishman, I don't mean say you're administrator be wishman. But whoever, whether they're sexy or border where they don't put these people in there, when they're supposed to get travel ban, or they're supposed to get everything, they're supposed to get on that watch list, they make and they travel. I think that one has some big mistake where they get that their system get for look and for correct and say this kind of thing not supposed to happen. But we used to talk say Joseph be talk say he brother they be mean and for evil, but God don't turn the thing for good. May this situation where it happen now, may God come inside for can turn this situation, may it turn now for good thing. I will give them back for you, brother. Are you there? If not, I'll continue to talk all today.
Yeah, say my brother. I want to bring back which way we just recorded now with the president, so that for people who never watch, may if you get the opportunity for watch them as we play. Now very important to we talk, and I don't receive a couple of calls just as president finish. A lot of people not even know say will come back. So if you imagine, like if you say we'll only go close to 1,000. Will not be successfully get to that point again, maybe because of which way it happened. But you see, president address a series of very important things, and we go find make we will bring them back to the light so that many people feel examine them. One of the things the president try for it paint a picture with leadership in Africa, and it paint them about Africa. And a couple of times president tell the American government for realize they're not supposed for the rule or control America for the way they do. Be disinclined for the plight where the people get them. The narrative where BI government we sabi say the give at this time be totally different from the reality on the ground. If you go through platforms and now you see people just share the opinion, say maybe we make sure say everything like this will share and may get to the places where we get where if you go to. And the other one is showing now one example, one very good example would learn for this be say we'll get a president with a visionary, a strategist. Never all about the noise. So I wait for still see the feedback from the noise where people say they will go make them for Washington. In comparison with which way President on talk now, talk on policy, talk the will of Ambazonians, present a picture of what if it happened for the Gulf of Guinea, if nothing, if the Biden administration no take a serious stand for help this matter make it happen fine. That one, it get as it be na good thing. Maybe you want to talk some more for that side.
Yeah, I can't want to where some people they ask a couple of questions. You are a father. They look you like the world's policeman. They give you you ask a nation like La Republique, say comfortable. This war, these people don't die. Comfortable more na talk. Maybe she don't. We are opposite neighbor more na talk. This man, he said no. He tell like say I send you to go carry water. You send Pekin to go carry water. It my cook chop. The Pekin say no. You tell us to go find firewood. The Pekin deny. Okay, you tell us to go buy Maggi. Ma put her inside that soup. The Pekin deny. You say go buy salt. The Pekin deny. But you the mommy, you carry basket.